I am sharing the core principles of the law of attraction and affirmations that I spent over $1,000 to master. Many people study cognitive science yet fail to see tangible results. You might feel a surge of motivation only for your reality to stay exactly the same. Or perhaps a sudden setback pulls you back to square one, just as things start to improve. This common struggle usually stems from a single factor. Based on my experience with professional coaching, I will show you the mistakes nearly everyone makes and how to actually become your ideal self. This is more than a simple knowledge transfer. By following this process, you can begin to rewire your subconscious and shift your self-image. When your internal identity changes, achieving success in your career or business starts to feel natural. Frustration fades as you focus entirely on your vision, moving toward your goals with the kind of purpose seen in high-level innovators. My clients have already proven these principles work. By mastering these fundamentals, they have walked away from stagnant corporate roles to become independent creators in the crypto and NFT space. Others have completely transformed their personal lives, finding long-term partners or getting married. Even those who felt utterly stuck have managed to escape a circular life by discovering what they truly want to achieve. While these techniques allow you to design your life as you see fit, I ask that you do not use them solely for selfish gains. There is nothing wrong with seeking financial success, but the real power of this shift comes when you apply it to goals that also contribute to the world around you. The reason most people fail to change is that they mistake a healthy self-image for temporary motivation. Feeling good for a moment does not change your reality, and relying on forced willpower inevitably leads to burnout. Success should be your natural state, occurring without conscious struggle. Even if you consider yourself shy or someone who lacks persistence, you can adopt a proactive personality without any added stress. The core of this theory is identifying your true desires, regardless of what society expects from you. Many people collect self-help books but remain paralyzed. You can instead become someone who constantly operates beyond their comfort zone. Since your thoughts, actions, and personality are all dictated by how you see yourself, you gain the ability to change your character at will. When your self-image aligns with your goals, taking action becomes second nature. If you feel out of place when trying something new, it is a clear sign of internal misalignment. Once you rewrite that image, achieving your goal becomes the only logical outcome. The idea that hard work is painful simply disappears, replaced by a genuine enjoyment of every challenge. Without this shift, even the best seminars are useless because you will always face internal resistance. By learning the correct way to shift your self-image now, you can move forward without being held back by doubt or negative patterns. Understanding the mechanics of self-image is the first step toward breaking free from self-sabotage. When you grasp how this internal system works, you stop falling into familiar traps, whether that is losing heart after a minor setback, scrolling through your phone instead of working, or abandoning a diet. Self-image is the internal mental blueprint you hold of yourself. It is a collection of deeply held beliefs, such as seeing yourself as a naturally negative person or someone who is inherently shy. While we are aware of some aspects of our personality, a significant part of our identity remains hidden in the subconscious, governing our behavior without us even realizing it. Since the subconscious drives roughly 90% of our actions, lasting change requires realigning this hidden self-image with your actual goals. Success rarely comes from conscious willpower alone. It stems from transforming the subconscious realm that dictates the vast majority of how you function. Our actions are designed to stay within the boundaries of our self-image. If you try to force a change in behavior without updating that internal blueprint, you will eventually be pulled back to your old self, often leading to burnout. If you currently feel stuck in a pessimistic cycle, the key lies in rewriting this self-image to unlock a different level of potential. Regardless of where you start, it is possible to evolve into the version of yourself you envision. The reality is that unless your self-image shifts, any temporary effort will eventually result in a rebound. For example, if someone's internal identity is fixed at 100 kilograms, their subconscious will constantly work to return to that familiar state, regardless of how strictly they diet. Despite their conscious efforts, they inevitably end up back where they started because their internal programming hasn't changed. However, by changing the self-image itself, you can trigger a reverse rebound where your subconscious naturally guides you toward your goals. The most effective approach is to rewrite the internal image before trying to force a change in outward actions. Instead of using a limited 10% of conscious willpower to struggle against yourself, focus on transforming the 90% that lies beneath the surface. When that core image shifts, habits and patterns tend to align with it naturally. Most of our daily lives run on autopilot. Think about your morning routine. You wash your face, brush your teeth, or shave without ever really deciding to do so. These actions are so deeply ingrained that they happen instinctively, bypassed by the conscious mind entirely. These habits aren't just random behaviors. They are a direct reflection of how you see yourself. A person who identifies as health conscious doesn't have to force themselves to exercise. It is simply what they do. If they happen to overeat at lunch, they naturally opt for a lighter dinner. This isn't a calculated move, but an automatic adjustment dictated by their internal self-image. The same mechanism governs the broader choices we make. We often skip over cold logic and lean into what feels right, which usually means whatever aligns with our identity. An adventurer will instinctively leap at a risky opportunity, while someone who sees themselves as conservative will gravitate toward the safest path. This internal blueprint is so powerful that no amount of willpower can override it for long. If your self-image stays the same, you will eventually drift back to your old habits. Many of us live with a psychological break known as learned helplessness. It is a state where past failures convince you that you are powerless, even when you have every tool needed to succeed. You might have grown used to the idea that progress must be a grueling struggle, but it doesn't have to be. Once you address these learned limitations and return your mind to a neutral state, the internal friction disappears, and moving toward your goals becomes a natural progression. Consider the classic example of the circus elephant. As a calf, it is tied to a stake it cannot pull. After enough failed attempts, it simply accepts that it is stuck. Years later, when it has grown into a massive adult capable of uprooting the stake with a single tug, it never even tries to escape. It remains bound by a conviction formed in the past. The same phenomenon is seen with fleas in a jar. If you put a lid on the jar, the fleas will repeatedly hit the top until they learn their limit. Even after you remove the lid, the fleas will never jump high enough to escape. They have convinced themselves that the ceiling is still there, staying trapped in an open container because they no longer believe they can leap beyond it. Just like the elephant or the trapped flea, you might feel held back by the weight of past failures. It is common to fall into a cycle of thinking you can't do anything right, but this mindset isn't something you were born with. It was likely ingrained in you through repeated criticism until feeling like a failure became your default state. Often, this starts with people who tell you to be realistic or to just act like everyone else. Parents and teachers can sometimes act as dream killers because they prefer someone who is compliant and easy to manage. By instilling a sense of helplessness, they make you more convenient for them to control. When these beliefs run deep, even positive habits like affirmations can trigger internal resistance. Trying to transform your life while holding on to these negative feelings is like pressing the gas and the brake at the same time. It creates an immense burden. To break this cycle, you have to undergo a kind of deprogramming to shatter the spell of learned helplessness. Deprogramming is a way to pull back and expand your perspective. By looking at your life from a higher level of abstraction, you can escape the mental cage of your old beliefs. As you encounter these higher-level concepts, don't worry about overthinking them. Just let the ideas wash over you like background music. Even if they don't make perfect logical sense right away, your subconscious will gradually start clearing out the unnecessary data. As your mind becomes lighter, your internal dialogue will naturally shift. You might find yourself thinking, "I can do this," or "failure is just a step toward success." You begin to develop a steadier mentality, much like Thomas Edison, who famously noted that he hadn't failed, but had simply found 10,000 ways that didn't work. To help this shift along, it helps to explore what philosophers call the intensity problem. Understanding this concept frees you from the exhausting struggle of trying to force a personality change or constantly comparing yourself to others. You will find yourself taking proactive steps forward, handling your work with ease, and moving through life without the usual emotional spirals. You might be wondering if it is really that simple. For now, try to set aside those preconceptions and just listen. Deepening your understanding is, in itself, the process of rewiring how you feel. By diving into the core of the intensity problem, you might find that simply understanding it is enough to change your life. To understand the intensity problem, imagine a teleportation device straight out of a sci-fi movie. You step into a capsule, a beam of light scans you, and you instantly rematerialize on a distant lunar base. The mechanics are simple. The device scans your physical body, your thoughts, and your memories, copying all that data from point A to point B. Once you appear at the destination, the original data at point A is deleted. To anyone watching, it looks like instantaneous travel. The intensity problem arises if a glitch occurs and the original version isn't erased. Suddenly, two versions of you exist simultaneously, both claiming to be the real one. This leads to a profound question. Which one is truly you? While we usually value the original in art or old manuscripts, in this scenario, the copy at point B is the one that actually matters. This is because of intent. You stepped into the machine with the goal of reaching the moon. The version that carries that intention and reaches the destination is the one that fulfilled your will. The version left behind at point A becomes merely a shadow of the past the moment that intent is realized. This concept is vital to your self-image. People trapped by learned helplessness often believe their unchanging past self is the only real version of them. This is why they feel like a fake when they try to grow. But consider this. The very fact that you are engaging with these ideas proves you have a powerful intent to change. From the perspective of the intensity problem, the you that holds this intent and looks toward the future is your true, original self. The moment you intend to improve, your self-image has already begun to shift. Most people are stuck in the illusion that their past is their correct identity. However, as this thought experiment shows, your true form is the person living in your goals and your future world. If you prefer your ideal future over your current reality, then that ideal is the real you. You no longer need to use the past as a compass. By simply intending to reach that future, your subconscious self-image is already changing. You can now relax and allow that transformation to take root. Now that we understand the intensity problem, we can explore the secrets of effective affirmations. Since your transformation began the moment you decided to change, let's ensure you reach that ideal as quickly as possible. If you have ever felt that affirmations simply don't work or only make life harder, you are not alone. The reality is that most people use the wrong approach, putting unnecessary pressure on themselves. I practice affirmations daily without any struggle, and this method has led to consistent results from decupling my annual income to mastering the cello and receiving personal coaching from world-renowned experts. Even if you are skeptical, once you learn the correct approach, you will see tangible changes. Whether your goal is to increase your savings, sharpen your intellect, or master new skills, affirmations are a vital tool for rewiring your subconscious to manifest what you want. Common advice often suggests simply chanting "thank you" or repeating "I am successful." While that isn't entirely wrong, many people quit because they suffer from the gap between those words and their current reality. To help you break free from that struggle, let's look at the 3 essential rules for effective affirmations. Rule 1 is to use the first person. Your statements must always begin with "I." The subject must be you to anchor the change in your own identity. Rule 2 is to use the present or completed tense. Avoid the future tense. If you say, "I want to be rich," your brain simply highlights the fact that you aren't rich yet. Instead, state it as a current reality. I am wealthy. Rule 3 is to incorporate positive emotions. The subconscious is driven by feeling. It isn't enough to state a fact. You must include words that evoke joy or pride. For example, you might say, "I am filled with abundance and feel so happy to spend money on what I love." Using words like joyful or proud makes your subconscious want to inhabit that world. In formal coaching, there are 11 detailed rules, but focusing on these three, first person, present tense, and positive emotion, will trigger profound effects. However, you might still find yourself thinking, "I'm saying the words, but I just don't feel the emotion." If that sounds like you, I'm going to share the core secret to truly mastering affirmations and bridging that gap. The reason most people struggle with affirmations is that they overlook a critical element: visualization. This is the practice of picturing yourself exactly as you want to be, fueled by passion and purpose. Through this, you can begin to sense, even if only faintly, the scenery you will witness and the emotions you will feel once your goal is achieved. Since true goals often lie outside your current reality, it might be difficult to imagine every detail at first. However, you can certainly imagine the joy and the sense of accomplishment. Think of this as a future memory. By experiencing this feeling ahead of time and translating that internal scenery into words, you create an affirmation that acts like a master recipe, tailored perfectly to you. The human brain has a unique quirk. It cannot distinguish between a physical event and a vividly imagined one. By repeatedly revisiting the joy of your success, you reinforce these neural pathways. Eventually, that future image gains more reality than your current surroundings. This is the exact moment your new self-image takes root. Conversely, if you use words without visualization, your heart and your language remain disconnected. I once reviewed an affirmation where a client used the phrase, "I feel as high as if I were on drugs." When I asked if he had ever used drugs, he said no. Even if a word sounds intense, if it isn't backed by your own sensory experience, it lacks the power to move your subconscious. Therefore, when crafting your affirmations, start by visualizing the world after your goal is achieved. If your goal is world peace, imagine the genuine smiles of the people you meet. Condense that sense of achievement into your writing. An affirmation created this way will instantly replay that visualization the moment you see it, creating a powerful synergistic effect. An affirmation not linked to your physical senses has no power to manifest dreams. Don't worry about how glamorous the words sound. Instead, choose keywords that trigger a visceral reaction in your heart. This is the true path to effective transformation. I am now going to share an advanced technique, a shortcut for affirmations that allows you to rewrite your self-image almost instantly. Aristotle famously told Alexander the Great that there is no royal road to learning. However, when you view a complex system from a higher perspective, it becomes simple to use and yields overwhelming results. Imagine a single phrase clearing your mind and filling you with enough positivity that the journey toward your goal becomes effortless. Tasks that once required grueling discipline, like dieting or a heavy workload, suddenly become as engaging as a favorite game. The secret to this high motivation state lies in the cyber homeostasis hypothesis. This theory is something even professional coaches often struggle to fully grasp. Cyber homeostasis suggests that our biological self-regulating mechanism, homeostasis, doesn't just apply to our physical bodies. It also applies to the information space of our minds and imagination. Think about why you cry while reading a novel or feel moved by a movie. Your body is physically reacting to a story that isn't real. I have personally found that reading a martial arts manga can spark such intense energy that I feel a sudden urge to train. This happens because I have developed a strong sense of immersion in that story, causing my homeostasis to shift and align with that information. Humans aren't born with language, but we evolve so that our bodies react to it. The fact that words can make us happy, angry, or even embarrassed is proof that our homeostasis responds directly to information. Every piece of data we perceive affects our mind and body the moment we recognize it. Whether you realize it or not, your subconscious is constantly reacting to the words you use and the information you consume. By leveraging this mechanism, anyone can change. even if you struggle to visualize your ideal future right now. You can use cyber homeostasis to automatically steer your life toward a better path. Visualizing is effective when your direction is clear, but what if you feel lost? If your ideal future is a blur and you aren't sure what you truly want, there is still a foolproof way to move forward. For those in a season of doubt, I recommend a simple abstract affirmation. I have a goal beyond my current reality, and I am happy. You might wonder how you can say this without a specific goal in mind, but remember that confusion only exists at the conscious level. The moment you speak these words, your subconscious accesses a vast field of intelligence, and tiny internal shifts begin to occur. By definition, your ultimate goal is something your current self cannot fully comprehend yet. It is natural for it to be blurry. By repeating this affirmation daily, these words permeate your information space, and your homeostasis begins to shift. Once these subconscious changes reach a tipping point, your vision will expand, and your true passions will become clear. A common mistake is stopping before these affirmations have time to ripen. The key is to avoid rigid expectations. Pressure creates tension, which crushes the process. You don't need to force a definition of your future world. Instead, remain neutral and simply plant the seeds of these words, surrendering to wherever they may lead. When you let go of specific expectations, unexpected talents and opportunities will emerge. As the Bible states, "In the beginning was the Word." Everything is constructed by language, and words exert a profound influence on our reality. When I say, "I have a goal beyond my current reality and I am happy," I feel the words take on a life of their own. To unlock this power, do not try to control it with your narrow, conscious will. Instead, wait with the same relaxed anticipation you might feel when offering a prayer, curious to see how the change arrives. Ironically, when you adopt this receptive stance, affirmations manifest much more smoothly. Treat your practice as a self-prayer or a personal pilgrimage. Start by speaking the words and allowing them to reside within you, trusting that your subconscious is always responding. Once you master this sense of surrendering, you are ready for the next level, succeeding without struggle. Next, I will explain how to align yourself with luck and synchronicity to attract endless opportunities. Now let's explore the truth behind the law of attraction. Mastering the law of attraction is less about magic and more about shifting your internal growth into high gear. When you truly embrace an attraction mindset, the specific opportunities you need to hit your goals start finding their way to you. If you are focused on increasing your income, you might notice new business inquiries simply landing in your inbox without the usual grind. One of my clients experienced this firsthand. She dedicated herself to meditation and energy work specifically aimed at building wealth, and the results were startling. It wasn't just that she started receiving unexpected cash. Her husband's salary actually increased alongside her own efforts. To understand why the world shifts like this, you have to get a grip on a concept called internal representation. I can almost hear you thinking, do we really need more terminology? Can't we just get to the steps? I understand the frustration, but internal representation is the single most vital factor in making this law actually function. Without this foundation, most spiritual practices are just surface-level habits that rarely produce lasting results. You have probably seen countless people who claim to follow the law of attraction, but never actually change their lives. The internet loves telling people that simply being yourself is enough, yet many who follow that advice remain stuck in the same stagnant financial or personal ruts for years. In many cases, people use this feel-good language as a shield to avoid reality, rather than a tool for genuine growth. This cycle often turns into a form of learned helplessness. People stay trapped in fantasies to escape the discomfort of their current situation, which is a painful way to live, caught between a physical world that feels stuck and a spiritual world that feels out of reach. Once you grasp these principles, you can stop spinning your wheels and start using a version of the law of attraction that delivers tangible results. Imagine a reality where unexpected checks, messages from ideal partners, or life-changing opportunities from mentors become your daily norm. To get there, we have to look closely at the essential key of internal representation. We often assume that the world we see is the objective truth. However, cognitive science reveals that we aren't actually living in an absolute reality, but rather a virtual one constructed entirely by our brains. This is the core of everything we are discussing. Every sensation, the images you see, the sounds you hear, or even the bitterness of your coffee, is just data processed and labeled as reality by your mind. Even your own self-image is a mental construct. In essence, there is no world existing independently of your perception. This concept, where the external world acts as a projection of your mind, is known as internal representation. Because your mind is the one constructing this environment, you are effectively its creator. You can think of your life as a massive virtual reality space where you are both the protagonist and the lead developer. Once you learn to hack the mental processes that generate this reality, you can begin to rewrite your life story as if you were editing a game script. Using tools like affirmations and clear intentions helps you shift into an attraction mindset where opportunities naturally find you. Unfortunately, many people miss these signs of progress because their preconceptions are too rigid. You might be wondering if you've already missed something important. To make sure you don't let these moments slip away, I want to clarify exactly which experiences qualify as true signs of attraction. By simply engaging with these ideas, you are already becoming a magnet for success. It is important to remember that the law of attraction isn't about hitting a single jackpot. It is a series of incremental steps. Much like the old folk tale of the straw millionaire, you follow small threads of luck until they lead to grand results. Noticing and valuing these subtle shifts in your daily life is vital. Now, if your first instinct is to go out and buy a lottery ticket, please be cautious. The overnight success mentality is a major reason why this process fails for so many people. Systems like the lottery are mathematically designed for the house to win. Statistically, for every $100 spent, you only see about 45 back. It is a system where the more you play, the more you lose. Those seeking a big win within a rigged system often end up exploited. You might hear someone justify high-interest debt by claiming that money spent always comes back, but that is a trap. Deep down, the desire for a miracle one-shot win usually stems from a belief that you lack the power to change your life through personal growth. If you truly want to succeed, you have to let go of the get-rich-quick mindset. Instead, let's focus on true attraction by nurturing the small, positive changes in your daily experience. The first step toward manifesting what you want is clearing away your scotoma, which is essentially a psychological blind spot. Our brains are incredibly energy efficient and filter out almost everything deemed unnecessary, generally only letting in information that feels life-threatening or immediately beneficial. When you rewrite your self-image through affirmations, your brain's priorities actually shift. If you start believing that you are naturally fit and healthy, you will suddenly start noticing workout tips or healthy recipes that you previously ignored. That information was always right in front of you. Your brain simply filtered it out because it wasn't relevant to your old self. You can experience this right now with a quick experiment. Tell yourself that you are going to find everything square in the room you are in, and then look around. You will immediately notice monitors, books, or frames. These objects were always hitting your retina, but they only entered your conscious mind once you assigned them importance. Now, without looking away from the screen, try to recall the round objects in that same room. It is surprisingly difficult because those circles were hidden by a scotoma while you were focused on squares. The moment you decide to look for round objects instead, items like bottle caps or clock faces will practically jump out at you. We don't see the world as it truly is. We see it through these filters. Most people go through life completely unaware of these blind spots. By simply acknowledging that there are things you are not yet seeing, you begin to clear the scotoma and recognize the opportunities needed to reach your goals. You might be wondering if just seeing things differently really changes anything. The answer is a definite yes. When your perception shifts, your actions follow naturally. As you repeat affirmations, your subconscious interests change, and you may even start to feel restless in a stagnant environment. When you finally spot an opportunity related to your goal, your brain releases dopamine, creating an almost irresistible urge to take action. It is like the focused excitement of being in love or that intense craving for a cold drink after a long day. Taking steps toward your dream becomes your primary source of energy. I used to look forward to a beer at the end of the day, but now I feel more energized brainstorming video scripts. When you practice affirmations correctly, you find genuine joy in the journey, and your days naturally fill with passion and drive. Moving into the second stage of the law of attraction, things start to get interesting. Once your scotoma lifts and you begin spotting goal-related information, you are already in the top 10% of achievers. But as your focus intensifies, you hit a new phase marked by the emergence of the oracle. At this point, mysterious events, which might look like good or bad luck on the surface, begin to happen with startling frequency. In literature, people sometimes call this divine intervention. It is a cutting-edge concept, and mastering it feels like boarding a spacecraft equipped with a warp drive. Your progress toward your goals starts to accelerate beyond anything you imagined. You can think of it as a silver lining or a delicate thread descending from a higher realm. You might not see exactly where it leads, but you get a distinct feeling that following it will take you to a completely different world. By pulling on these threads sent from your future, your perspective shifts, allowing you to finally step into your ideal reality. In the first stage, lifting the scotoma was mostly about recognizing logical connections, like noticing a specific business book because you want to grow your wealth. In this second stage, the oracle transcends logic. It manifests as events or information that your mind cannot quite explain, yet they resonate deeply in your heart. In my own experience, I sometimes perceive this through a form of synesthesia. It might arrive as a high-pitched frequency or a vivid vision in a dream. Because I have a strong sense of touch, I often feel a physical sensation, as if my body is being pulled toward my future goal by an invisible force. It might sound strange, but you will know the feeling when it happens to you. To give you a concrete example of an oracle, I remember a time when I was considering moving, but felt stuck in the gravitational pull of my daily routine. One evening, while I was eating at a restaurant, the person next to me accidentally flipped over a bowl of spicy noodles, soaking the counter. To my surprise, he started hurling verbal abuse at me for no reason. I left feeling unsettled, only to return home and find a massive cockroach right outside the elevator. Since I can't stand insects, I decided to wait it out at a nearby McDonald's. But as I sat there, 2 other customers started a violent physical fight, creating total chaos. The verbal abuse, the giant cockroach, and the fight suddenly connected in my mind as a single message. It was time to move on from this neighborhood. That is the sensation of an oracle. I followed that intuition, decided to move, and have lived happily in my current home for 3 years now. When unusual events, whether they seem lucky or unlucky, happen in quick succession, consider it an oracle. While logical thinking is important, your future self often sends hints from ahead. By catching these signs and asking what they mean, you're essentially claiming your ticket to the future. If logic is like jumping over hurdles one by one, catching an oracle is like finding a cheat code to bypass them entirely. If you set a financial goal and suddenly receive an extra $100 or a new opportunity, that's an oracle. It's a green light from your future self saying you are on the right track. Positive events mean keep going, while negative ones are often signs to change something. Avoid becoming obsessed with immediate gains, like that extra cash. Treat them simply as markers of change. Once oracles become a daily occurrence, the transformation of your life will accelerate. Achieving a goal outside your current reality rarely happens according to a logical plan. It usually arrives from an unexpected, left-field angle. The most fascinating part is looking back later. You will see how all the random puzzle pieces fit together perfectly, realizing that every specific event was necessary to get you here. You might not understand it now, but trust your future self and your subconscious. Follow the thread of the oracle. As your growth continues, you reach the third step, the arrival of dream supporters. These are people who appear specifically to back your challenges. As your actions align with the oracles you have been following, your environment naturally shifts, leading you to mentors or partners who might say they have been looking for someone exactly like you. When your self-image reaches this peak, even small actions create a massive ripple effect, drawing people and opportunities to your energy like a magnet. At this stage, success feels natural rather than forced. Many of my clients have used this process to achieve business breakthroughs or find their ideal life partners. Even a fated encounter is simply the result of rewriting your internal world. We have now covered the true stages of the law of attraction. By consistently practicing affirmations, these 3 steps, lifting the scotoma, following the oracle, and meeting dream supporters, will manifest automatically. Today, we explored the cognitive science behind these shifts. Once your self-image improves, attraction becomes a natural phenomenon because your brain and mind are the ones constructing your reality. The moment you live with the conviction that you are at your best, your universe is reborn. Events necessary for your highest self will trigger like scheduled milestones in a video game. If these concepts feel complex, you might want to watch this several times. I have embedded nonverbal elements to help your subconscious absorb these shifts more effectively with every view. Since reality is a mental construct, changing your self-image can improve your health, relationships, and financial status. By raising my own self-image, I now earn 10 times my former corporate salary doing what I love. For specific practical methods on attracting wealth and freedom, I provide detailed lessons. If you are ready to step outside your current reality, please sign up from the description of this video. This theory allowed me to transition from an office job to a life of total freedom. You can realize your ideal life too. Let's make it happen together. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.